So this guy says is Nintendo being too reliant on ports and remakes. Okay, and we will talk about this, but this is really a wider problem in the gaming industry. Okay, you know, I have noticed this became a apparent problem in the early days of the, next generation of consoles. Like that's normal for, games to be on old and new consoles alike, and games in the very late part of that generation to be ported to the new generation consoles because obviously, those consoles are going to stick around for a while. Okay? But the problem is that because companies besides Microsoft are so against, you know, you know, you know, okay, for example, we can use the example of PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and Xbox 360. So many games released at the end of that lifespan, but it started becoming games like very successful and popular games like Uncharted, correction, The Last of Us, started getting ported to the PS4. Crash Bandicoot Trilogy. Okay, these are old games. Okay, and sort of got like a digital remastered on the PlayStation Store, but are being sold for $60. Okay, you know, you know, basically, and now let's use Nintendo as example. So Nintendo, though, this really started to become apparent around 2017 with the end of the 3DS, which was mostly ports and remakes, okay, or games like Hey Pikmin. Again, the end of the last few years of the 3DS was kind of disappointing, but Nintendo in the Switch era, mostly because of the Wii U's failure, has become reliant on ports and remakes. But it's not just Nintendo; it's Sony. Okay, you know, Nintendo is becoming so reliant on old games. Okay, look at Nintendo's 2024. You have a remake of Mario and Luigi. No, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Okay, you have a remake of Hours of the Door, and you have a remake of and you have a port of Luigi's Mansion 2. Okay, I have nothing against any of these games, but again, it is kind of lazy that Nintendo is doing this. Okay, I get for the people who love all three games, it's a win, but I still think Nintendo should create new games for 2024. And this of course was a problem in 2020 as well. I know there was a pandemic and everything, but the big games like Pikmin 3 for the Switch, Mario 64, okay, Mario Galaxy, okay, these are old games, okay, and yes, old games, Nintendo does want to preserve these games. But I think if Nintendo really wants to preserve the games, they really need to put backwards compatibility on all the consoles, okay? Make the Switch kind of like the PlayStation and have it backwards compatible with all future Switch models. And kind of treat it like how Xbox is treating game consoles now, okay? Xbox is treating the consoles like a new model, a new phone, a new computer, okay? I'm not saying, oh yeah, you can't play your old games, digitally or physically, physically may not be available in the future, but you can't play your old games that you downloaded from the 360 and carry them all the way up to the Xbox Series X and S with your account, okay? No, they allow you to keep your games, okay? And transfer them through console to console, okay? Nintendo should definitely do that so Nintendo isn't too reliant on ports and remakes, okay? I think that would be an easy solution to do what Microsoft is doing with backwards compatibility because Sony is just as bad as Nintendo when it comes to this, okay? Remaking The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 for absolutely no reason other than greed. Okay, remaking Ghost of Tsushima, remaking God of War, and charging people who already own the game money so they can play it on the PS5 Like, it's pretty ridiculous that Sony is doing this kind of stuff. And it's funny, no one on the site will talk about Sony's greedy tactics with their games, but they'll complain that Nintendo is, porting Wii U games to the Switch, or 3DS games to the Switch, okay? There is obviously a double standard, has always been for PlayStation and Sony and PlayStation consoles, okay? And that's about this video here. Goodbye.